for the Indians to really jolt and jumpstart this attendance next year, and it's because they're sitting at a wide open window of contention. And once fans get out of the malaise of the next few weeks of not being in the playoffs, they'll sit back. Hopefully they'll hear enough people like us talking about all the good things that did come out of the last 2 seasons, and they realize the window's open. You go. We've talked about how the guy that used to play here, he's not here. That's one of the reasons that fans walked out on the Dolans and blah, blah, blah. Well, not only patching the holes in your team, but also patching some of that fabric together with a signing like Victor Martinez. Combine that with the window of real, true contention and the feel good around Cleveland. Baseball season will be starting right as whatever this Cavalier season turns into will be reaching its fever pitch right around the end of that. That's the end of the season, right around the time that baseball gets rolling there. You'll really be, we talked last week about bringing those crowds downtown and how there's going to be a lot of people getting used to going downtown once or twice a week and hanging out at the Thirsty Parrot or at this place or that place and having their meetings. And all of a sudden, baseball can kind of, I don't mean glom onto it, but they can kind of attach to that momentum. And, of course, opening day, it's always exciting here in Cleveland. Anyway, think about that, though. You're coming in with a fresh coat of paint, a truly competitive team, back-to-back winning seasons, bringing back a long-time local favorite who can still club the ball around the park. And Cleveland is still all over themselves because the Cavs are probably on top of basketball at that time because they're at least going to be a very good regular season team, if nothing else. It's right there, Dan. If you see the way I laid it out, I think that the ground is right there for the Indians to really churn some good stuff coming into this season, and it's right there for the taking, and it can help the attendance too.
Well, I agree, and I think that it all really, I think, comes down to how this club decides to market itself. If they can capture some of that, if they can work that into their advertising, into their pitch. I don't think it's going to happen through anything other than hard pavement-pounding salesmanship, because you don't sell necessarily season tickets by running television ads.
Nope.
You run it by having your salespeople hitting up individuals and small companies and businesses large and small, and entrepreneurs and individuals, banging on their doors, pushing the idea that the other thing that I think is important to do is to sell the idea that this team has not been supported by this city as well as it should be, and that this team deserves the support of the city that it hasn't gotten attendance-wise over the last couple of seasons. Let's fix that, Cleveland. Let's be proud of the way that we support our team. Let's not let opposing teams come into our ballpark and see 7,500 people in the chairs. That should bother you, Cleveland. And if it doesn't bother you, there's something wrong. Let's support this baseball team better than we have. If that means you're embarrassing the city into supporting it or shaming them into supporting the team, so be it. But I think that might have to be part of the campaign. Hey, man, let's do a better job of getting out there and supporting this team that deserves our support. I hope that's part of their pitch.
I'm with you. Hey, I'm sitting here as a marketing guy in my head going, hey, I could already think of the commercial. The City of Cleveland commerce people should get together and they should film a commercial this winter, and it's Brian Hoyer with a football and the crowd behind him, and he passes it, and then it's LeBron on the next screen in his Cavs jersey, and he catches the pass and he sends it off the screen to the right side, and then it's whoever the Indians' big signing is of the winter, and he catches it and he goes, well, it's our turn now, and it's kind of like you're passing the momentum of the winter sports and of the Cleveland, and you're passing it on into the Indian season. And I'm telling you, man, there is a lot of things coming together here. I don't want to make comparisons to 20 years ago and all of that stuff, but there's a lot of things coming together that if each team and each civic, whatever, it all kind of attaches itself here and comes together. But like you said, and I'm with you, that is understated. You bring that up a lot about the marketing, about pounding the pavement, because it's not as easy as you don't just drop ads on Facebook. You don't put a couple of commercials on, Fox Sports Ohio, and boom, we're gonna go sell season tickets. You get out there and you get into it, and of course having having something to attach to it as far as a big signing is the easiest big ticket way to do it, and again, that's why the Victor thing, outside of being one of the best hitters in baseball and just a great signing anyway, it's almost like, because this is the one season that is LeBron's returning to Cleveland thing, and you got the coming home, you got the theme, you can almost carry that over. I'm like, man, this is almost written for the Indians to take advantage of this and go, hey, that homecoming thing worked out so well, we figured we'd give it a shot too. Welcome home. Then you can have LeBron and in a commercial, and he could be shaking hands with Victor and going, welcome home. Yeah, this feels good to be back.
Yeah, that's true. And it's I had not heard the quote from Victor that Bruce referenced there. That is very telling. It's as if he's reaching out and saying, hey, Cleveland, come and get me.
I'm not going to cry.
If that's true, and Victor said that, I love hearing it. It would be great. And yes, there's a logjam among players in Cleveland that are under contract and basically are DHs.
First base DHs, yeah.
First base DHs. So, so be it. But
we'll figure that out.
The contracts do sort of make the Bournes and Kipnises and Swishers, maybe Murphy too, largely untradeable. But there are things you can do, and there are moves you can make, and you need to add offense to this lineup, and I'm sure they'll go about trying to do that.
We'll figure that out.
To me, you've got to figure out who's going to play right field for you as much as anything.
I know.
You don't know. Rayburn is no longer a consideration as far as I'm concerned. You've got Murphy, but you don't want necessarily Murphy to be an everyday player out there. Who knows? Maybe a guy like Zach Walters can come up and surprise you and be a legitimate outfielder for you that can be a bat in your lineup. And he's got some pop in the bat, and whether he can hit for enough average or whether he can play well enough in the outfield. But you'd rather bring in an established major league ball player to either platoon with Murphy or play the position outright.
I mean, just to quickly aside, since you brought up the outfield, what do you think are the odds that Jason Kipnis does not play second base the next time we're talking about some Indians baseball?
Well, I don't know. I think everybody's, in the injury situation notwithstanding, I think everybody's enthusiasm and their look at what the Jason Kipnis ceiling is for the long haul has been lowered over the last season. Don't know whether he, figures in the long-term plan or whatever, but I can see. I don't think Jason Kipnis is the answer to the Indians in right field. You assume that with Bourne under contract, he'll be your center fielder. Bramley's going to be your left fielder, so you've got to fill the right field spot. I don't know if I want to go into 2015 with Jason Kipnis penciled in as my starting right fielder. Don't know what the front office is thinking, but that's not my thought process.
I'm just saying that I was joking before the show. I said there's a couple of things that you don't want to tell Indians fans this winter. I'm pretty sure they're not interested in hearing about anybody switching positions in the off season and getting ready to come to spring training at a completely different position. That one may not be a good one to sell. And coming back with exactly the same team that we came back with last year may not be the best way for those pounding pavement season ticket selling guys. They may not be armed very well if they go pounding pavement with that. So let's avoid a couple of those tricky ones other than that. No, but I agree with what you said to start this whole little chat, is I really do think the front office sees it every bit as much as you and I. I've had some people point blank tell me this weekend I'm crazy. Like, man, they don't care. They're gonna trot the same guys out unless some guy comes free this winter that they can sign for a couple $1 million that they can hope has a bounce back. That's what they do, and it's hard to argue with that because except for the winner that they went and got Swisher and Bourne in them, for the most part that's true. So it's hard to argue people when they say that, but something about the way Antonetti and Shapiro and Francona talked at the end of this season for the last few days and even for the last few weeks, maybe it's my heart of hearts, but I agree with you. I think the front office sees it as much as the Indians fans do, and they know that this is a true window of opportunity, not just, well, maybe we can. No, we can truly contend with the core of what we've got here for a real championship, not just a play-in, one and done type of thing. Let's take advantage of that, because otherwise, they showed 2 years ago, kind of by force, that at least they knew at the last second they had to go try to do something. Maybe they're regretting some of the things that they did now, but I think they're there now. I think the front office has acceptance that they got to make a move, and I think they want to. I think they've been bitten by the bug. I don't know if maybe they had it necessarily last year because they were complacent with the way things ended. You felt so good coming out of last season, and they allowed that to fool them and color their judgment. Jonathan Knight said it the other day. He said, Jerry, if nothing else, I hope that stumbling down the stretch and being disappointed does for them what it should have done last year in the offseason, which is make them go, damn, we're so close. How do we get over the hump here and go for being a true competitive team?
Yeah, I hope that JK and you are right too in that assessment. I hope that it does jog them into thinking, because in a market like ours, you do have those windows and they are small. Yep. Right now, you're in that situation where your starting pitching is young, high ceiling, and under team control for a number of years. You're going to obviously have to keep adding to it, but as long as that is there, and you do, in fact, have a good young core, even if you're just counting that core as Brantley and Gomes and maybe Chiz and another guy or two, and a couple of upcoming kids from the minors that you think are going to be, good major league contributors. You got to move now because the windows aren't open very long, especially when you're in this kind of a market.
I'll tell you what, I don't know. I tried to click on the story here, and it said error not found, so I don't know if there's details being worked out here. But speaking of windows of opportunity, I'm a bit surprised by this. Maybe I shouldn't be because of the record, but I don't know if you've seen Ron Gardenhire. It appears he's been fired after 13 seasons as manager of the Twins. At least that was a breaking alert that just came across my desk here as we're doing the show. We always talk about what a job he does, no matter what his team's facing, what a good job, especially against the Indians, of being ready to play and having his team ready.
I agree. In fact, I tweeted over the weekend, and it was only half in jest, that I thought Ron Gardenhire was the American League Manager of the Year. Because if you look at that group of cast-offs, misfits, and zero quality starting pitchers that guy had to deal with, they won, almost 69 or 70 games. I know they were going for 70 yesterday, and I can't recall if they won or lost yesterday. But to have that team in a neighborhood of 70 wins is unbelievable. I love Ron Gardenhire. I think maybe he and Francona are right there at the top as best managers in the American League. Ron Gardenhire, if he wants to, he will be snatched up in a minute by one of the major league teams that's going to also fire their manager after this year. Maybe Arizona or somebody could look at him because I think he's one of the top 2, 3, 4 managers in all of baseball. And he can go to work pretty much wherever he wants to if the Twins have decided to go a different direction.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, think about it. With that group of talent, as you want to call it, that he had there, they finished one game worse than Boston, with what they've got.
Right.
And they finished 3 games better than Texas, so. Yeah,
that's incredible. And that's a testament to Ron Gardenhire and nothing else. He gets more out of young kids and unproven major leaguers and other teams' cast-offs, whether it's a Correa or a Nolasco or whoever it is. He got a real nice season out of Phil Hughes this year. I shouldn't say they don't have any good starters because Phil Hughes certainly would be on that list.
I like Hughes.
But other than that, he had nothing resembling a major league rotation and somehow got to 70 wins or close. So, yeah, he'll get snatched up. If he wants to manage, he probably doesn't have to, and maybe he wants to retire or go in the broadcast booth or something. But if he wants to be managing next year, he will be, and some team will be lucky to get him.
Hey, is Phil Hughes, do you know his contract status? Is he under contract for them next year? Because I
believe they signed him to a fairly long-term deal, but okay. I'm not sure about that. I would have to check that out.
Because that's a guy that's just always solid, man. That's an ace on some staffs right there. There's a guy you'd love to add. You talk about adding a veteran that's got a little experience to that staff. Philly Hughes, there's a guy I wouldn't mind adding to the Indians staff right there.
Exactly, yeah, he's young too, and so he's definitely still on the, coming into the prime of his career, not beyond it.
Be interesting to see which way they go. Of course, as we said,